Hi, good evening to our bright parents. It's another Friday night and we are live here in Bright Parenting. So please invite your friends to tune in because we are already live and we have a very nice topic for tonight, and it's very timely and relevant because these days the cost of hospitalization or cost of treatment when one gets sick is really expensive. And when us parents, we hear of any of our family members getting sick, or us personally as parents, we all worry. So tonight, we will discuss about health plans. Do I really need it? Ayan. So we have our guest, si Miss Lirio Ang-Torres. Ayan, no? So please invite your friends to tune in because we are already starting live here already. So, okay, without further ado, let me bring in and introduce our speaker. Ayan. All right. So, let me just close that. Ayan. So again, tonight our topic is about health plans. Do I really need it? So let me reintroduce myself. Ayan. So I'm Jen. Ayan. And in Bright Parenting, again, is a community of parents who wants to learn about better parenting and better financial management. And I'm so glad to share to our Bright Parenting community that we have now grown to 800 members. And we have launched recently our Instagram, which is Bright Parenting with Jen. And you can also follow us already. We have already launched in YouTube. So Bright Parenting with Jen. So tonight, this is already streamed as well in YouTube. So you can also browse it there. And so again, I'm your host. I'm Bright Jen, and I've been in the financial industry for the past 13 years and have served over 300 families in investments, retirement, health, life insurance planning, estate planning, business succession planning, and of course, again, Bright Parenting is a community of mom and dads who loves to build a brighter future for their family. So we founded that during the pandemic times. So, ayan, we've also launched our landing page. So it's brightparentinggen.com. So if you have friends and would like to become a bright parent, enhance parent-child relationship, and learn about how to be a good role model, so please join us. And so, the main event for tonight, I'd like to introduce our speaker. Our guest speaker is very beautiful. Ayan, no? And she's already live here with us. And she is no other than Ms. Lirio Ang-Torres. She is the head for Health and Accident segment of Sun Life Philippines. And she has had 25 years of experience in the insurance industry, where she started as an actuarial analyst but focused on the sales and product development side of the business. Ayan. And of course, just like us here, she is a loving wife and a supportive mom of 3 kids, ages ranging from 18 to 13. Ayan. So, mamaya, Miss Lirio will also share a little tip. No, it's amazing how she sent her daughter to Spain and studied there for college. Ako super na-impressed ako. And so, ayan, without further ado, let me bring in the beautiful Miss Lirio Ang-Torres. Good evening, Miss
Thank you,
Lirio.
Jen. Yes, thank you. And once again, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me. And I am excited to share my insights when it comes to health plans, of course, from Sun Life. And I hope that this evening will be a very productive one for everybody.
Yes.
So I can
Thank you,
start
Miss
now, Jen.
Lirio.
Yes.
All right. Without further ado, let's bring in the slides of Miss Lirio.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right.
So
Take the
thank you,
floor.
Jen. So let's sit. Like what Jen mentioned, why do we need health plans, do we really need it? But before we start to ask ourselves if we need it, no, maybe it's also important to know something about what's happening right now, no, because right now, uh, we there's actually this thing that we call health gap, no, and this is something that's been going on. Maybe you've heard about it, maybe you've seen this, maybe you've read about it, but you're really not sure what this is all about. So a few years ago, maybe 2 to 3 years ago, our regional office in Hong Kong initiated a study to identify and address the health gap condition in the Southeast Asian region. So that's Philippines, Hong Kong, Indonesia, Malaysia, and Vietnam. They wanted to know, what is this health gap? How big is it? How can we contribute to make the people be more aware of what's happening? Because as it is, at that time, people were starting to wanting to know more about health. But with this pandemic, I was talking to Jen earlier, and I was telling her that indeed there is a heightened awareness when it comes to health. With this COVID, with everything that's happening, we've been in lockdown here in Manila. We're back to MECQ. I think this is maybe the longest already that we've been from ECQ to MECQ. It's been over a month already, and we're all stuck home. But again, like what I said, life goes on. It's a good way to be productive. We're learning a lot of things this evening. So yes, when it comes to health, there's a heightened awareness, and this health gap is something that we really need to learn. No, what is this about? So yes, health gap is basically the health coverage less the actual cost or expenses of healthcare. Basically, when we see health coverage, this is the amount that you have, or amount that we normally call sum assured or face amount. And you would normally deduct the actual cost or expenses of healthcare kung magkano yung nagagastos natin pag nagkakasakit. So when you deduct both, that's actually the health gap. And more often than not, this is
Mhm.
actually of a negative value, no? So meaning, mas malaki yung actual cost or expenses of healthcare when it is compared to our existing healthcare coverage. And because I want you to know more about it, no, I would like the next slide will all be about a video to better make you have a comprehension of this thing, health gap.
We've all experienced getting sick, and it can drain you. Sure, you might have enough for a fever, the flu, or something that keeps you out of work for a few days. But what if it were something a bit more serious? A sickness that forces you or someone in your family to stay in the hospital for weeks or even months. It's definitely not going to be cheap. We rarely plan for long-term sickness. After all, we never imagine it happening to us until it does. Critical illnesses can cost millions of pesos to treat. That's why most Filipinos still pay for their medical bills straight out of pocket. Of course, we can try to protect our health with proper diet and regular exercise. But what we often neglect is something that's just as important, our finances. If we do get sick, proper finances help us get the treatment we need to get better. But without it, we're left with a gap between the healthcare we can afford and the healthcare we need. And that's what we call the health gap. When it comes to saving for our health, a regular savings account just isn't enough, not with low interest rates, inflation, and the rising cost of medical expenses. This is why we need a hard-working health insurance plan to help us bridge our health gap, a plan that protects us from the catastrophic cost of being critically ill, so we don't have to rely solely on our hard-earned savings. A plan that only asks for a few thousand pesos a year, but can potentially save us millions of pesos over a lifetime, so we can lead a long and healthy life. Sun Life can help bridge your health gap by offering you protection that's right for your budget and right for your medical needs. So when someone asks you if you've got enough to live a healthy life, you can answer with a resounding yes. Let Sun Life help bridge your health gap. Talk to a Sun Life advisor today.
Okay, there. So I hope that you're able to get a grasp as to what it is, no? So then we start asking ourselves, no, what do we need to know about this, and why do we need to know about health gap? Because as I say, nowadays, health is really there's really a heightened awareness. So it is really very important for us to learn about this. But before I start, I always say this whenever I do this. We are not here to scare everyone, no? Our viewers here, for those who are
Yes.
watching, we are not here to scare everyone. we are actually here to give awareness and to let you know, what is it, why it is important. Because, some people would say, nakakatakot naman yung mga numbers mo or nakakatakot naman yung mga sakit. Actually, we are here to provide a lot of insights. And yes, we are not here to scare you, but we are here to provide awareness. Okay? So, yes, what do we need to know about health gap and why do we need to know about health gap? Let's start with the realities and challenges. Here in the Philippines, we all know, I'm sure, especially back during the pre-pandemic days, people would say they are overworked, they are overweight, or they are overwhelmed about a lot of things, especially if there's traffic going on back in the day. And now, even if we work at home, di ba, yung mga, we say we are overworked, there's too much Zoom
Yes.
happening, di ba? May mga ganyan tayo. And what happens because we are overworked, overweight, or overwhelmed, we end up, okay, because I work too hard, I want to sit down and I would just want to munch chips. Ayan. So 60% prefer to rest on the couch. Or they will say, I can eat anything because, I deserve this because if I was too busy the whole day, pinagalitan ko ng boss ko. So ngayon, kailangan kumain ako ng madami. 48% prefer to eat whatever they like. Okay, so ayan ang mga burgers, ang mga fries. I think most of us are guilty, but again, they're saying nga, di ba, you only live once, but is this the right thing to do, di ba? And then sadly, 16% don't mind doing unhealthy stuff. So again, when they say, I'm too stressed with work, I'm too overwhelmed, I would like to smoke and drink. Nangyayari din yan. So, all these things are happening because, this is the reality. Reality is we always tell ourselves we need to breathe, we need to relax, we need to enjoy, di ba? And all these
Yes.
things happen. But, despite this, most saying that being healthy is still very important in their lives. So even if they know that they drink a lot, they smoke a lot, they are couch potatoes and binge a lot of junk food, they know that it is very important to have a very healthy life. But more Filipinos still fail to practice healthy living. Why? Because of the barriers. There's too much barriers. Like what I said, lack of time due to work and family responsibilities. Siyempre, pagkatas natin mag-enjoy, uminom at kumain, when we get home, ayan na, we'll be with our families. We have to spend time with them. Now, I know it's all about, we're all here at home, so it's all about Zoom. But sometimes we get stressed then, di ba? So sometimes we tend to do something with our families and then we tend to forget that I should have done my exercise or I should have done my yoga, my meditation. That's what I say, no, because we have too much family responsibility, specifically as moms. No, we as moms we have a lot of hats
Yes.
that we put on. Like for instance, now I'm here, I'm working together with Jen. I'm working here, but the moment I get out of this room, I'm going to be a mom because I'm going to look after my two children who are outside for dinner, and then I have to be a wife to my husband. So all
Yes.
these things. Now we have all these responsibilities that sometimes we tend to forget that we do have to exercise. Ayan,
Yes.
or we do have to do other things. And then yes, cost issues, sabi nila. I don't know if you've heard, but they would say that it's too expensive to get gym. Well, back in the day when things were normal, no, it's too expensive daw to get gym memberships. Gagawin na lang nila sa bahay. But sadly, when they get home, they don't get to do it because again, family responsibilities when you're home. Now, even if it's pandemic, I'm sure for all those who have children in school, you have to teach your kids. You have to be with them, especially this online. I actually pity those who have toddlers because I'm sure you're also learning with your kids. So you have to be in front of the computer with your children. Parang
So
nadagdagan yung
true.
time natin, di ba? In my case, kasi my kids are all in high school, so they're actually on their own, doing their own stuff, and I am so glad about it. But I would hear friends who would be with their children doing online, pati daw sila naka-enroll sa school. So I'm sure that you guys are experiencing it. So again, these are some of the barriers as to, to have a healthy living. But despite that, we don't eat well, we don't exercise. Everyone is very conscious about being healthy, especially now, like what I said. given this pandemic, there's a heightened awareness, and they worry mostly about diabetes, cancer, and heart disease. If you click, Jen, sorry, there. So, even if we have all these things, we worry about it. And what happens? No? This is actually health facts in the Philippines. And
Mm.
is earlier mentioned is actually part of the five main fatal illnesses of Filipinos: heart disease, cancer, stroke, kidney, and diabetes. And why does it happen? Of course, like what I mentioned earlier, a lot of Filipinos still don't eat well. If you look at it, when it comes to
Right.
dietary intake, we lack eating. Majority of the Filipinos don't eat healthy daw talaga. When it comes to drinking, it's
Mm.
still an excuse. Drinking and smoking, people still drink a lot and people still smoke a lot. And yet, everyone is very scared to having heart disease, cancer, stroke, kidney disease, and diabetes. So it is still a fact in the Philippines that yes, these are the main health risks. Now, in the next slide, I will
Mm.
ask, given the realities and challenges that I earlier explained, are you prepared to handle the price of serious illness between your typical healthcare coverage and the rising medical cost? Because the gap appears to be bigger than ever. I was talking to Jen earlier before we went on live, and I was telling her how the hospitalization expenses have been increasing. I'm sure
Yes.
you've heard of it, no? It doesn't matter anymore kung COVID related or non-COVID related. It just seems to be escalating. Parang it just escalated how many times more this pandemic. So that's the question. Like the guy that you can see in your screen, are you actually ready? Are you prepared to bridge the gap between your coverage, your actual coverage, and the full cost of treatment? Because that is what's happening here in the Philippines when it comes to the healthcare gap. And now maybe we could ask ourselves, no, I've been talking about the qualitative no side of it, realities and challenges. What is health gap all about? Now let's talk about the, if I may say, the scarier part, no, the number part. Like what I said, I am not here to scare you. It's all about the reality of life. So, what is this gap I'm talking about? No, how large is the disparity between the coverage and the cost? This is actually a very good slide that I would like to share with you. So, if you look at this poor guy slumped in his death,
Mhm.
it says here 150% is the average employee hospitalization related coverage per year for
Yes.
supervisors and professionals. Again, this is based on research that was done for Sun Life. So apparently, a regular Filipino on the average is only covered for 150,000. What happens? Overwork na siya, pagod na siya, na-overwork siya ng sobra. Let's say nagka-stroke siya. If you look at the other side of your screen, you could see the top five main fatal illnesses in the Philippines, and these are cancer, stroke, myocardial infarction, chronic kidney disease, and diabetes. The yellow portion or the yellow font is the out-of-pocket expenses or the actual cost
Mm.
of expenses. And the white font is the 150,000, which is the average hospitalization cost. So let's say nga po itong si hard worker natin na employee who's only
Yes.
covered for 150,000 suffered stroke, he would actually be needing 2.9 million. If you notice there, for stroke, it's 2.9 million. For cancer, it's 5.66. For myocardial, it's 1.22. For chronic kidney disease, it's 2.3. And for diabetes, it's almost a million. Now, let's say, yes, this hard worker suffered a stroke, but his coverage is only 150,000. He needs 2.9 million to be able to cover all the expenses when it comes to
Wow.
medicine, surgery, hospitalization, therapy. Di ba normally pag nagsistroke, nagsa-therapy ka. If you deduct the 150,000 to 2.92, it means yon ang kakailanganin mong pera to be
Mm.
ensure that the insured is actually living properly. When our loved ones get sick, we want them to be comfortable. We want to make sure that they are living well. So let's say that's her husband. Of course, we don't want our husband to be going to any hospital. It has to be the best hospital, diba? Same way that,
Yes.
our parents, our children, I mean, nowadays, everybody gets sick. It doesn't matter how old you are. I have a cousin in 2000, I think. Yeah? He was only 13 years old and he had osteosarcoma. It's
Oh,
cancer of bones. And ito nga, nakikita natin dito, no, 5.66 million is needed. I think they actually even spent more. Because the
wow.
prices that I have here actually on the average, it's a gauge as to how much we need, no? But because we can't put naman all the prices here, so on the average, like for this cancer, it's
Yes.
5.66 million. But my cousin's case, he was 13. So you could imagine my uncle and my aunt, how they felt. He died sadly after a year of less than a year of being treated, and to be honest, they were not prepared. They were not
Right.
prepared. Uh, one of their children will get sick, and it will be terminally ill at that. He was diagnosed terminal already. So
Mm,
that's why the out of pocket. Both parents were employed, so he was a dependent, but they were not very well prepared. So I have to admit that
right.
they had to ask help because they were not ready. And osteosarcoma is bone cancer for children. So you could imagine
Mm,
how painful it is. So yung emotional that the parents
yes.
were feeling for their child, at the same time the physical pain that the child was feeling from getting treated, because I saw him, no, I saw how he was, and back in the day chemotherapy was different, and it's very it's very scary, to be honest. It's very scary. It's very uh parang worrying, no? That's why maybe
Yes.
in my case, when I have my children, because he's my first degree cousin, no? I really made it a point to make sure that all my children will have their own coverages. Just the same way that I was telling Jen why this segment is very close to my heart. I am a product of um, parents who both had cancer. So my mom had
Mm,
breast cancer at age 38.
very
She was
young.
very young. But the good thing is she was a stage zero. It was a stage zero breast cancer, so she's a
Okay.
survivor up to this day. And but my dad is the sad story naman. So if I have a success story with my mom, no, because she's
Mm,
cancer ridden for the past over 30 years, if I may say. My dad died of cancer at age 40 of
very
lung cancer.
young.
Yeah, very young also. So
Ah,
it's bone and lung cancer, and it was terminal. Back in the 80s, baka hindi ka pa pinapanganak, Jen, no? But back in the 80s when my dad was diagnosed,
87. No, napanganak naman.
wow, so back then, when my dad was diagnosed, it was pretty different, no? It's not like right now when you have cancer, you can be treated very well and very fast. Back in
Yes.
the 80s, it was so different. Like what I said, no, when my mom had her breast cancer, it was stage zero, but she had a mastectomy because it was different back in the day, no?
Ah,
Back in the day, that was 85, if I'm not mistaken. Yun nga, they had to take out her entire right breast. But now, if that happens, none. You're gonna go on and live your life as free as you could. But
yes.
in the 80s, it was different. So for my dad, he was diagnosed already terminally ill. So yun nga, so I am a product of two. That's why in my case, I have already for myself, and I made sure that my three children would have. Why? Because maybe of my experiences. Not just my experiences, no, but seeing people around me getting like
Yes.
my cousin who had cancer at age 13, my mom who had cancer at age 38, my dad at age 40. They were a very young couple stricken with cancer, so
Mhm.
imagine me as I think I was 35 when I started having my mammogram and sonogram already. Mammo yearly, sono every 6 months because of my genetics and my family history.
Yes.
So with my children, like what I said, I would like them to be I would like us to be prepared, all of us, no, financially. Kasi nga, like what I said, no, the peace of mind, being mentally prepared is also different.
Yes.
Like what I heard, no, there's this person daw who died of COVID. No, he had COVID. He was in the hospital for 2 months, and they have to pay 7 million.
Ah,
It's a long COVID eh. It's a long COVID and there's adverse effects already. So nagkaroon na siya ng mga end stage lung may
ah,
madami nang nangyari, no? So it was 5 to 7 million if I'm not mistaken. Sadly, after 2 weeks of getting out of the hospital, he died. But out of the
ah,
7 million, they were only able to pay the hospital 3 million. The 4 million is still being paid. And the guy
mm,
has passed. He's only 33 already. Very young, no?
correct.
So all these things, hearing all these things, sometimes like what I said, I am not here to scare everyone, but it's a reality of life that we have to
Yeah.
prepare, that we have to make sure that, it's different. Being financially prepared is also being mentally
Yes.
prepared because mental health nowadays is actually being talked about, right? Because a lot of people suffer. I know those people who get COVID, even if it is mild, they would tell me, nakakaloka daw. Because they're thinking it shouldn't get
Ah,
worse. Yung mga ganyan, parang, although some of them are fully vaccinated, they get COVID, but they get mentally scared. So, it is important to have that peace of mind. And it's really important I'm not really doing a hard sell here, but I'm just sharing my experiences as to why. Because of my experiences, of those people close to me who actually had it and have it, and how the people around them got affected, especially those who are not financially ready.
right,
Yon.
right, right.
So back to our slide. Yeah, back to our
Yes,
slide.
there.
Yeah, so,
Out of pocket
yan.
spending.
So, so yun nga, kanina I mentioned, no, it is really very expensive to get sick. And what happens with this actual cost of expenses that becomes our out-of-pocket spending? Because without insurance, most of healthcare spending is paid nga out of pocket. And sadly, this is actually a sad reality, but this is was done by research, it was published. Reliance on out of pocket expenditure pushes Filipino households into poverty. 1.5 million families
Mm,
are pushed to poverty because of healthcare expenditures yearly. So, again, this was actually reported in PDI. When I saw this, I said I need this slide because this is something that I could share. This is part of the awareness that I would like to impart with everyone, that it is not a joke like what I said. No, out of pocket is really uh can be mentally bothering for everyone. So imagine 1.5 million families are pushed to poverty. And I always say, why does this happen? Because now when our loved ones get sick, when it's our husband, our children, our mother,
yes.
our parents, I mean, because we are mothers and basically we wear all the hats. As mothers, we wear all the hats, whether we are the wife, the daughter, the mother, diba? When somebody gets sick in our family, we want to give the best. So we want to make sure that they go to the best hospitals. But sadly, the out-of-pocket goes 41% to hospitals. Siyempre, dadalhin natin sila sa magandang hospital, di ba?
Yes.
Out of pocket, 27% goes to pharmacies. Again, if our loved ones
Mm,
get sick, we want to make sure that they get well. That they're not that they're pain that they are pain free. We want to make sure they're comfortable wherever they are. Na wala nang sumasakit. So whatever medicines they need, and mind you,
yes.
not all the medicines for maintenance are generic or of generic capability. Diba? Others really are branded and can be very, very expensive. So that's
Yes.
what happens. Again, where does out of pocket goes? Preventive care. 8.5% goes to preventive care. After you get out of the hospital, you're not done. If you get stroke or even cancer or myocardial, then you end up having to need preventive care. Andyan po ang therapy, andyan ang consultation sa doctors, malaki-laki talaga kakailanganin dito. And again, I would always say when it's our loved ones who are sick, we want to give the best. We want to provide the best care, the best hospital, the best medicines, the best preventive care. And this is what happens when we are not prepared. 1.5 million families are pushed to poverty. Kasi dyan po napupunta ang out of pocket. So that is how
Right.
big the gap is when it comes to this. And if I may share, although I didn't put this in this slide, but it is connected to this slide, do you know that amongst the Southeast Asian countries, no, so Philippines is part of it, we are actually second when it comes to medical inflation,
Mm.
right after Vietnam. So this is actually a study that I read, I think, in 2019. So this means that
Mm.
ang medical expenses ng Pilipinas ay masyadong mataas na. We are the second, no, in terms of medical inflation
Ah.
in the Southeast Asian region. So it's pretty alarming because it goes to show that, pataas talaga ng pataas ang
Yes.
hospitals, farm medicines, preventive care. This is what happens. So yes, so out-of-pocket spending, ganito po ang nangyayari when we are not ready. And in our next slide, I can say, why are we doing this? Why are we creating awareness? Because, only few Filipinos believe that they can cover the cost of healthcare. Many are concerned. I would always say this over and over again. A lot of Filipinos really are concerned, but they are not making it a priority. It's different when
Mm.
we say we make it a concern, and it's different when we make it a priority. Diba? Those are
Yes.
two different things. So, I would like to share with you that only 24% know about the cause of critical illness. And like what I mentioned in
Mm.
my case, because I have relatives, it happened to my family, I know how it is. That's why I am preparing our family, our children. Only 4% believe that they can cover the cost. So what happens to the rest of the 96% of the Filipinos, diba? What happens to them? Sadly, majority of them tend to rely on their family for their health needs. And this is something that I would always say over and over again whenever I would do face to face back on the pre-pandemic days. Now that I would say we have to stop relying on our family members.
Yes.
This is the kind of cycle that we want to stop. We call this the cycle of dependency. Let us stop the cycle of dependency, not because our parents are rich, our uncles or aunts are rich, or we know that our husband can afford. Like right now, it's all about making sure that individually we could do it. I'm sure this pandemic has opened the eyes of the majority. We have to make sure that our family is protected in every single aspect. So dito nga nangyayari, 52% tend to rely on their family for their health. So this is something that we need to stop, the cycle of dependency. And because of that, 68% do not have insurance because premiums are believed to be too expensive naman. This is what I always say can be relative, no? Maybe, I don't know now because now it's different already. Like what I said, there's a heightened awareness when it comes to health. I heard that people are now getting into wanting to have one because they want to be financially protected. But back in the day, it is relative, as I would say, because the people who would say it's too expensive, you would see them traveling in every during summer vacation, having the best brands of bags and wallets. Of course, there's nothing wrong with that, to each of his own. But again, um, let us not discount the fact that nowadays, health is very important. As they say, health is wealth, diba?
Yes.
Health is wealth. Do not say you do not have money for insurance because we can always buy insurance. Maybe we can start small if you think you do not have enough because you can always build up on it.
Yes.
When I started, I was only 30 in my 30 when I started. Just build up to it. I wasn't earning so much then, so I could only buy a certain amount. And then,
Yes.
as you go on, then you could just add on because what I always say as well, I don't know if you remember the slogan of a commercial back in the day. It says, mahal magkasakit. So I
Yeah.
would say now, over and over, and I think everyone could agree, talagang mahal magkasakit. And if I may say, every single centavo counts. Kahit na sabihin mo ang kaya mo lang is 500,000 pesos, 300,000 pesos, hindi mo pa kaya ang 1 million, go for it. Why? Because every single centavo counts. Than being part of the 52% who would rely on their family for your health needs. At least you have something on the side. Kahit na 100,000, 200,000, 300,000. Because as you go on, as you mature, as you get richer by the day, then you can add on to it. So yes, this is the need to be aware as to why we need to have this healthcare protection, not just for us, but for our family. And of course, in the next slide, I would like to show that, we have to take care of both our health and our wealth. And
Yes.
illness not only affects you physically, but financially as well. Now, even mentally, diba? So when this
Mm-mm.
are blocked from achieving your goals and dreams in life. In the grayscale picture, you can see the pitfall to your life goal. Because of an illness or an injury, you cannot go to your goal because you don't have that safety net or the health protection plan that you need. In the colored slide, of course, illness or injury strikes, you have a health protection plan as a safety net, then you could go on to your destination and build your final. Ayan siya. So yes, to remind everyone that we have to take care of both our health and our wealth. And maybe you're
Yes.
asking, as a Sun Lifer, we are from Sun Life, do we have solutions to this problem, to this health gap? Do we have solutions to bridge this gap? Like that's why I'm talking about health gap is because it's all about bridging the gap between, being financially free when it comes to our health. And yes, we do have different products, that could support our needs. I could not discuss each because it would take us maybe up to tomorrow. But I'm sure that Jen will be able to discuss freely each and every details. But just to give a background, we have Sun First Aid Plus, which is a hospitalization plan. We have our very, well, if I may say, not just because of Piolo, but it's really our outstanding and most sellable product. Ayan,
Yes.
kita nyo na nga si Piolo, si Sun Fit and Well. So this one is our most comprehensive and yes, our most sellable product. So it can be paid at 10 years, you're done. You're forever covered already. We also have
Yes.
Sun Cancer Care. This is a more focused CI product. So it's for cancer. For those people who
Mm.
are scared with cancer, the big C, this is a product that can definitely protect your future health problems when it comes to cancer. We have Sun Maiden and Sun Maiden Plus. Ayan, this is specifically for women. And then we have our Select Assure. This one is actually very affordable. This is a starter plan, if I may say, for those who may not have too much or enough. Then you could always start with Sun Life Assure. Like what I said, there's no excuse when it comes to health protection. We have a product that can suit your financial needs at the moment. So Sun Life
Yes.
Assure is a very good starter product. And of course, for our elders, we have Sun Senior Care. As we say, it's never too late to be covered. So may Sun Senior Care pa po tayo para sa mga matatanda na. Ay, huwag nating sabihin matanda, baka madaming magalit. For our more matured members of our family who we would like to be covered. These are our standalone products. And of course, we also have supplementary benefits. So what are these supplementary benefits? This is what we call the riders, no? That you could attach to your VUL plans, yung mga variable unit link products natin, or yung mga ibang traditional products natin. So we have the ADB, the accidental death benefit, the ADDD, accidental death dismemberment and disability benefit, of course, critical illness benefit. For the hospitalization, we have hospital income benefit. Then we have total disability benefit, female critical illness benefit, female critical illness and maternity benefit. Baka hindi ba nakakalimutan na meron po tayo niyang rider na yan. Waiver of premium on death benefit and waiver of premium on death or disability benefit. So we have all these riders to be able to assist you also when it comes to your accident or health needs also that can be attached to your base product. So again, maybe you're asking, why am I here? Why did Jen invite me? Why are we doing this? Actually, Jen and I, we are both Sun Lifers, and because this is our purpose. And in our next slide, you'll see why we are here. Again, like what I mentioned, because we want to help our clients achieve lifetime financial security. And of course, to live healthier lives. So living healthier lives nowadays, it also means having, that peace of mind to be mentally
Yes.
healthy. Ayan. So yes, that is our purpose, why we are here giving awareness to everyone, why we are here providing this knowledge. Again, I hope I did not scare you because I'm not here to scare everyone, but I'm here to give, this awareness and education. So, we all know that, health is really wealth nowadays. So, good evening, everyone, and I hope that, I was able to impart some knowledge when it comes to health. Thank you, Jen.
Wow, thank you, Ms. Lirio. That was a very insightful topic. And we have got comments here from our viewers na really health is wealth. Ayan, no, it's an
Yes, health is
interesting
wealth.
product. Ayan, and totoo talaga, it's our job to inculcate knowledge to all Filipino
Yes.
people. We have a lot, no? So, the other names won't come out kasi, no? Pero ang daming learnings talaga tonight. Ayan, nice topic. Hello, it's very interesting. So, good evening to our viewers again. And siguro, Ms. Lirio, before we wrap up for tonight, kasi medyo we have a lot of comments here. Ayan, no? Perhaps a recommendation to your Miss Lirio of among you mentioned kanina that Sunfit and Well is one of our top sellers. Like, how about you personally? Why do you think it's one of our top sellers?
Of course, number one is very comprehensive. No, it covers 100 plus critical illness at that. It has embedded HIV, and most for me, like for instance, like what I said, no, I walk the talk. I have because of my experience, because of my family history. I have children. I got for my children because in
Mm,
10 years, sir, I'm done paying. It's limited pay, and the coverage is up to age 100.
yes.
And as I would always say, the younger you get for your children, the better because it is cheaper. Diba? So it is easy. So my personal recommendation, and this is because, like what I said, I walk the talk, no, because I got it for my children as well, is Sunfit and Well because everything is there. It's a good, uh, for me, aside from Sun Life Assured, this is also a good starter product, specifically for those who would like to say na, at up to a certain time, tapos na akong magbayad. Because sometimes, we tend to forget, di ba, yung mga ganyan. At least we know that in 10 years, I got Sunfit and Well when we launched this in 2016. It's 2021. I only have 5 more years, and after that, I'm done paying. So you'll never, it will be fast, di ba? And yes, the younger, the cheaper, so it's easier, it's better. And then imagine being protected up to age 100.
Wow,
So,
I agree. Ako din
yeah,
personally, I got that for my son, the
di
Sunfit
ba?
and Well. Yeah, kasi
Yeah,
it's very affordable and very comprehensive.
yes.
Ayan.
For my eldest, like what you mentioned earlier, my eldest just turned 18, no? Sunfit and Well kasi we have juvenile ages. It's available for babies up to the time they get old, di ba? For my daughter, when she turned 18, as a supplementary coverage, I got her Sun Life Assure. I
Mm,
think at 1 million, it was only around 7 to 8,000 because she's
a
only 18.
year.
So
Very
she's
affordable.
covered. Yeah, she'll be covered up to age of 65, 60, 65, if I'm not mistaken. For me, what's 7 to 8,000 a year to protect your children? Again, you'll never know what's gonna happen tomorrow, diba? So it's better to be prepared, to have something on the side all the time. So there.
There, yes. So thank you so much, Miss Lirio, for a very interesting topic and very well explained. And so, on behalf of Bright Parenting, I would like to acknowledge and give you this certificate of appreciation. And this is awarded to Miss Maria Lirio A-Torres, for imparting her valuable insight and brilliant presentation on the topic, Health Plans, Do I Really Need It? In Bright Parenting webinar series, given this 10th day of September in Iloilo City and presented by me, Jennifer Tan Wantong, Bright Parenting founder. Ayan. So,
Thank
thank you
you.
so
And I
much,
miss
Miss
Iloilo already. I
Lirio.
used to visit Iloilo and I used to enjoy the food in Iloilo. I mean, I wish I could go back. You know, I used to be there at least once a month back in the day when things were okay. But hopefully I could visit you guys soon. So stay safe and thank you. I'm just here if you need anything. Jen and to your team, thank you for inviting me. So I hope I was able to impart knowledge. I hope I was able to share knowledge. Like yes, like what was mentioned earlier in one of the comments, we really need to impart this not to our clients and to everybody because you know it's a different learning, especially now with this COVID, with this pandemic. There's a heightened awareness when it comes to health, and I really do believe that you know this is something that is needed now. It is something that is ano na siya, it's need na siya na for our peace of mind because of what's happening. Parang it's just sorry, it's just a bit crazy out there nowadays, and we just need to make sure that you know we are protected in all aspects, 'di ba?
Yes. I couldn't agree more. Miss Lirio, thank you so much. I know we extended with our time, pero ang dami kasing natututo at saka, ayan, no, what we can impart, we have to let our friends at saka family be aware of health
Yeah.
gap and how we can protect it. So, have a great evening, Miss Lirio, and
Thank
have a
you
great
and
evening
good
to
evening,
our bright
everybody.
parents. Good
Yes.
night.
Good
Bye-bye.
night. Bye.